All right, Shalom. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Double honors unto the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and taught us His truth through the Spirit. To the Akim, my fellow laborers, pushing the word out in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the Akim, YAHAWAH, listening and learning, being doers of the word and abiding in faith. And to the speckled birds scattered abroad that look like the other nations but are truly Yasharallah through the Spirit. Shalom wa barakatam. Okay. It's your brother Ariyah. I want to come out again through the Spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, going into these damn Hellidays, okay? Specifically the one that Babylon is in right now, being Thanksgiving, okay? It's really Thanksgiving. I'm going to start off by reading Amos chapter 5, verse 21. I hate, I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Okay? That's YAHAWAH speaking, saying that he hates, and he despises these feast days, your feast days, okay? The ones that you people choose to celebrate. The ones that our people choose to go along with, being Thanksgiving, Xmas, Saturnalia, which I believe that's Valentine's Day, you know, goddamn Juneteenth, for you damn so-called Negroes thinking that you're free, thinking that you accomplished something. You didn't accomplish a damn thing. You're still slaves, man. You know? You want to get the tree and raise it up to Nimrod, put the star at the top, okay? You want to engage in all these pagan, Roman customs and practices, okay? Loving the glory of the Grecians, you know, that's our people. They choose to follow, and I'm going to get this, right? Let me finish this in Amos 5, I'll read 21 again. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies, okay? The Lord doesn't give a shit about the turkey that you're cooking, the stuffing, which all of that represents something, okay? The cranberry sauce, okay, that's blood. All of these different paganistic customs and practices, these have ritualistic meanings behind them. Ritualistic, evil, symbolic meanings behind everything that you're partaking in. Okay, you cannot just ignore the origin of these different customs, of these different Hellidays. Okay, you have to acknowledge that, hey, this is where it comes from, and by partaking in it, you are partaking in those ritualistic, heathenistic, pagan practices. Idolatry. Okay? And YAHAWASHI is not with that. And there's no excuse. Okay, there's no excuse for it. Verse 22, though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them. So our people love to say, oh, the Lord knows my heart. You know, only God can judge me. Well, I'm just doing it for the kids. Yeah, Halloween just passed too. Halloween last month, you know, in October. Halloween is so obviously wicked and demonic, and our people still want to celebrate it as if it's not a big deal. They want to still celebrate it, still get into it, take their children trick-or-treating, which that elder Kazakh, Ya'ala, GMS page master, he went into that. This dude named Sam Haynes, you know, really it's the spiritual demon Satan that they're worshiping. Okay? And Esau, you can bring as many goddamn bots and spam messages as you want. With the spirit and probably YAHAWASHI, it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect us. We're just going to block you. Okay, so it doesn't matter. But really, Halloween goes into Hallows Eve, you know, or the witch's Sabbath. Okay? Trick or treat these dudes would come through to door in Europe, and they would say trick or treat. Either you offer up your children as a sacrifice unto them, Salakia, or they give you a trick, which is them burning your house down, troubling you in some kind of way. Okay? That's what that Halloween went back to. Okay? Same thing when you go to Christmas. Like I mentioned, the Star of Nimrod at the top. That's really what that is going into. Okay? You're not supposed to be celebrating these wicked holidays. Okay? That's not for us to get into. We have high holy days, real feast days. We're in the Feast of Dedication, or they call you may know it as Hanukkah right now. You may know it as Hanukkah right now, but we're in the Feast of Dedication. We're in the 7th day. When you get into First Maccabees, it tells you about how our people, when they rebelled against the Grecians, and we restored the temple and all that, then they celebrated. They were thankful. They praised YAHAWASHI and YAHAWASHI, that they were able to restore the temple, clean up the altar, all that. And they held a feast, and they ordained that it be held for 8 days. Okay? Praising, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto YAHAWASHI and YAHAWASHI that he gave us the victory over our enemies. Okay, that's the Feast of Dedication. That's a beautiful, meaningful, high holy day that we should be celebrating, that we can get together for the family. Really, you should be getting together with your family, doing things for your children, taking care of them, training them up in the way that they should go all the time. Not just on these Hellidays, man. Not just when Esau gives you a day off, man. Take the time out. Make effort to take time out of your schedule, your day, whatever, to spend time with the brethren, spend time with your family. That's something you should be doing all the time, okay? But our people want to make excuses and claim that it's just for the children, claim that, the family might link up. Meek Mill said that on Twitter. The family might link up. All that BS, all these excuses, dude. I wanted to get on. Let me see this real quick. Yeah, this is Isaiah chapter 29, verse 13. Wherefore, HaAdawan, the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me. Okay, so our people, they give lip service. They provide lip service. They say that they love the Lord. They have a zeal, but not according to knowledge. Really, in their hearts, in their minds, deep down inside, really, they don't give a damn about YAHAWASHI and YAHAWASHI. They don't give a damn about righteousness. They don't give a damn about our feast days, our high holy days, our Sabbath days. The brother's been pointing out a lot of these pagan Babylonian holidays fall on the Sabbath. Today being Thanksgiving, it actually fell on a Sabbath. Today is a Sabbath. Okay, the Sabbath is according to the new moon. The new moon is how you dictate the times. Okay, not Esau's Gregorian calendar. Okay, you understand what day you're in, what time you're in, what month you're in, by the moon. Okay? And today, we're in a Sabbath. And today happens to be Thanksgiving, which is when people probably was buying all types of ingredients, preparing dishes, and getting together for this damn pagan Helliday. Same thing last month. Halloween night fell on a Sabbath, man. Going out trick-or-treating when you're supposed to be at home, remembering YAHAWASHI and YAHAWASHI, obeying him. So the Lord's been making people choose, man. Some of you people, some of you Israelites have been having one foot in the world, one foot. You know about the truth, but you don't want to repent. Okay, you're riding the fence. The Lord's been making people choose. And the majority of our people are choosing Esau's, the ways of the heathen. Okay, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear towards me is taught by the precept of men. Exactly. God knows my heart. Only God can judge me. You know, I'm just doing it for the kids. Oh, you know, God doesn't care about a little bit of family time. You know, it's just presence. All these excuses. Okay, they don't really fear YAHAWAH and YAHAWASHI. They don't really fear the Most High God. All right, they don't understand that the Lord will really put them to death for that through His judgment. Okay, they don't have no fear. They'd rather follow after the vain imaginations of their own hearts. Okay, therefore, behold. Verse 14, therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work amongst His people, even a marvelous work and a wonder, for the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. All right, and that's exactly what the Lord did. Okay, but that was pretty much it on that. Okay, so I want to go to Jeremiah. I'll drop that. I'll go to Jeremiah. This is chapter 6. Okay, chapter 6, verse 16. Matter of fact, first, Salakia. And there's some history I want to bring out as well that I'm going to read, the Lord's will. All right, because this is a precept to Isaiah 29, okay? This is Mark chapter 7, verse 6. He answered and said unto them, well, this is YAHAWASHI, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, speaking, all right, red letter. Well hath Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, this people honored me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. So that goes into not having fear of YAHAWAH and YAHAWASHI. You'd rather follow the ways of men. You'd rather follow what your pastor pork chop told you. You'd rather go with what, you know, how you grew up in this Babylonian society. You'd rather cling to all the wickedness that you grew up doing. All right? You don't want to unlearn all the wickedness. You know? You don't want to repent and change your life and stop doing the evil things that you've been doing. No, you'd rather keep doing the same things that you've been doing out of your own vain imagination and for your own pleasure. Okay? So, yeah, they follow the ways of they please their own flesh, all right? They're natural people. Okay, meaning carnal people. Verse 8, for laying aside the commandment of the Most High, ye hold the tradition of men. Okay, and what are these different holidays, traditions of men? Thanksgiving, Christmas, okay, all these different, Halloween, like we just mentioned, like we talked about earlier. These are traditions of men, really pagan, satanic traditions, evil, wicked, bloody traditions, okay? As the washing of pots and cups and many other such like things ye do, okay? These different things that you people are into, all right? That's what you hold on to. The Lord is telling you, He's calling unto you, telling you, hey man, turn away from your wickedness. I set my prophets out here to warn you, to teach you the truth, to give you the high holy days that you should be celebrating, that you should be keeping. And our people don't want to hearken. All right, they're still at home doing what they're doing. Like how all these, hey man, this is I'm gonna finish this, right? Verse 9. And he said unto them, full well ye reject the commandment of YAHAWASHI that ye may keep your own traditions. Okay? This is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. Okay, so you're not supposed to follow what these people are doing just because they got together with their turkey and their dinner, you know, their little feast. Okay, you're not supposed to follow. Hey, this is Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Thus saith YAHAWASHI, learn not the way of the heathen. I'll read verse 1. Hear ye the word which YAHAWASHI speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Okay, speaking to the Israelites, which are you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Okay, you are the true Hebrew Israelites of the scriptures. The Lord is speaking unto you, saying, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. All right, so you're not supposed to be following the multitude to do evil, like it says in Exodus. You're not supposed to be getting with friends and family to partake in these wicked holidays and paganistic rituals. Whether you know it or not, you're being warned, you're being told. You're supposed to hearken. YAHAWASHI is giving you fair warning. You're not going to have an excuse in the day that his wrath comes upon you then. Okay? Because you were warned. Now we're going to get Jeremiah 6 and 16. Thus saith YAHAWASHI, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? And walk therein. And ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. Right? So even when YAHAWASHI put the warning out for you people to understand that, hey, you shouldn't be following these Babylonian heathen customs. You should be following the ways of your forefathers, the old paths. Doesn't it say in Ecclesiastes that YAHAWASHI requireth that which is past? You know? So when they can talk about, oh, you know, remember, we'll never forget. You know, we'll never forget the Holocaust. We'll never forget 9/11. But they tell you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans to forget about slavery. They tell you to forget about the bloody massacre that the Edomites did to the northern kingdom. They tell you to forget about that all the time. Okay, that's why they're hypocrites. That's why they're so wicked. And we're going to read about this, man. Because, hey, man, it's not going to be no excuse. No more, I didn't know. Okay? No more, oh, I'm just doing it for the kids. I'm just doing it for the family. All right? Because this is the evil that these Edomites have done to steal this land from the so-called Native Americans. And with that, these damn people had to leave, man, because they can't, hey, the heat, the word coming out, these people can't take it. They'd rather stay in their ignorance. They'd rather stay in their wickedness. Okay, this is from the book, How White Folks Got So Rich, okay? The untold story of white supremacy. You can just get this on Amazon pretty cheap. All right. And this is page 13. Indian land grab. You know how they call them Indians, native Indians, how they refer to them, you know, which is a complete insult. They call them savages, call them Indians, you know, whatever proverb and byword you want to call them. Native Americans, indigenous peoples. Really, they're the northern kingdom of the house of Israel. Okay? They're Israelites. And they knew they were Israelites. Alright, yeah, they went off. They were wicked. They were doing things that they weren't supposed to do, but that doesn't change the fact that they are our people. So this is what these damn Edomites did. And I'm going to read from the top of verse of page 13. From the very start of Europe's colonization of America, the invading settlers were begging their British king to destroy the savages, quote unquote savages, at an even faster rate than he already was. King George III's slowness to annihilate the so-called Indians was one of the reasons the founding fathers wanted to separate from England. So Esau, even fighting amongst himself, he's like, hey, you're not killing these people fast enough. You're not killing these jakes fast enough. So we want to separate and do our own thing, because we're gonna, they think he want, Esau want to think that he's all big and bad, like he can get the job done, and he did, But that's the pride of these damn devils. That shows you that, hey, even amongst themselves they're divided. Their Declaration of Independence calls them the merciless Indian savages. And the early Thanksgiving holidays were actually celebrations of successful racial massacres. Successful racial massacres. That's what the origins of Thanksgiving is. Okay? You celebrating that? That's an insult to our brethren, our brothers and sisters of the Northern Kingdom. And you Northern Kingdom, you celebrating that shit, you're out of your mind. And they got the nerve to call this month Indigenous Heritage Month, the same month that they have Thanksgiving. I'm going to read that again. The Edomites, all right, their Declaration of Independence calls them the merciless Indian savages, and the early Thanksgiving holidays were actually celebrations of successful racial massacres. The Red Holocaust was systematic, calculated, and extremely profitable. Colonial merchants supplied the British, Dutch, French, and American armies to ethnically cleanse, meaning genocide. Okay, that's genocide. Ethnic cleansing refers to genocide. Ethnically cleanse the Indian nations from their ancestral lands. Okay? Once the armies retreated, it was those merchants who surveyed and divided the land into lots and began selling them to the Edomite or white settlers. The land's value was created out of thin air. And these property rights were then protected by the armies of the new U.S. government. Okay, so they literally did this and they did enslave them. They enslaved the indigenous peoples here when they got here. Okay, and they built their property rights out of thin air. Okay, legendary American frontiersmen like Daniel Boone and even pre-President George Washington were actually surveyors in the employ of these merchants, measuring out property lines and killing all the so-called native Indians that remained. Okay? So they stole this land, they raped, robbed, and murdered the indigenous peoples. And then they made a holiday out of it. The force Washington led fought 20 battles in 10 months against the people that had lived on the land for thousands of years. Between 1787 and 1871, America entered into over 400 treaties with the so-called Indians and promptly broke every last one of them. I'm going to read that again. Between 1787 and 1871, America entered into over 400 treaties with the Northern Kingdom of Israel. Because that's who you really are. You're not Indians. You're not savages. You're not wetbacks. You're not Spics. You're not Hispanics or Latinos. No, you're the Northern Kingdom of Israel. You're Israelites. You're Hebrew Israelites. Period. Okay? That's your true heritage. Okay? And you should be getting into it beyond one damn month. Gregorian calendar month. Okay? Just like so-called Black History Month. That bullshit, man. These Edomites are proud devils. And this is their true history. It's a history of blood, pillaging, rape, and murder. Okay? President Andrew Jackson's Indian Removal Act of 1830 initiated a series of genocidal wars against the remaining so-called Indian nations. The policy confined the survivors to about 310 reservations, where they can be found today as wards of the United States. And there's more, man. Hey, Massachusetts Congressman Henry Dawes had so-called Native Americans change their names to make them more English sounding. And you know what you think of when you think about that? You think about that movie, I believe it's Roots, where they were whipping Kunta Kinte, trying to get him to say his name was Toby. I don't know if that was Roots or The Birth of a Nation, okay? But that shows you they were doing that to all of us, having us change our names to so-called Christian sounding, so-called European names, trying to get us to let go of our ancient Paleo-Hebrew names, literally beating the language out of us, okay? They beat our language out of us. They beat our heritage, our customs out of us. Why do you think that we were singing? All these Negro spirituals are about Israel. It's about us being the Israelites. It's about the truth. Okay? That shows you that we knew who we were. Same with the indigenous tribes. I'm going to go into that and show you. Let's go into a couple of accounts. All right, and this is real history. So, let me bring this up, all right, because this is how the Northern Kingdom got here, all right? Matter of fact, I'm going to go to that. That's in 2nd Ezra. I'll read this, and then I'll read that in 2nd Ezra. All right, here we go. So according to the Bible, the scriptures, and other historical books, which we're gonna get some history as well. All right. The Aztecs, Mayas, Incas, Toltecs, and Olmecs did not migrate across the Bering Strait from China to Alaska. Instead, they came to the Western Hemisphere by way of ships at approximately the 4th century BC with the aid of charted records from King Solomon's naval fleets. Hey, when you get into 1 Kings, it tells you King Solomon had his own navy. They were bringing peacocks, all types of animals, They had navy fleets. We were an advanced people, man. We weren't the tree swingers and savages that they paint us to be, okay? We've been beaten down. All right, we lost our history. We lost our records. They burned a lot of our stuff up. They beat it out of us. But who we really are, we're an advanced, holy people, okay? And a lot of our records are still there that show who we are, okay? All right, so this is 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osea the king, whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel amongst themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river, for the Most High YAHAWASHI then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, right? Arsaret, all right? The land that we know today as America, where never mankind dwelt. All right, our people, everybody knows that the indigenous peoples, the so-called Native Americans, by virtue of them, because the so-called Mexicans and so-called Hispanics or Latinos or whatever, they descend from indigenous peoples, and they know that. Okay, they were here before anyone else, man, which is really our people of the Northern Kingdom. All right, in the land called Arsaret, which is so-called America, which is Babylon the Great. The same region is called Arsaret. All right, the same region is called Arsaret. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. Okay? The Mexican, this is back in the thing I was reading, right? For the Mexican people, according to the Holy Bible. The Mexican people, especially those of the Aztec and Nahuatl heritage, are descendants of the Biblical Hebrew Israelites. Okay? Right, we when you read, Jeremiah 12:9, where it speaks about my heritage is unto me as a speckled bird, right? When you go into a speckled bird is a bird of diverse patterns, diverse colors. So we're not all going to look the same, especially because a part of the curses was us being scattered abroad, right? And through a lot of intermingling, we look like all nations. So you can't judge. The scriptures tell you, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. So you have to try the spirit. Okay? Romans chapter 8, verse 16 tells you the Spirit bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of YAHAWASHI. History, really the scriptures and history filtered through the scriptures prove that, hey, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the real Hebrew Israelites. And then you get into the scriptures with the curses, like Jeremiah 12:9, like we just mentioned. You understand that, hey, we look like everybody. Okay, we're not going to be all the same. We don't have all the same facial features. We're not homogenous people. Okay, we don't all look the same. It's not like damn Japan, where they're all short. They all got straight black hair. You know, they all got that table face. No, we're not gonna look like that because we've been scattered abroad. This is part of the curses. Okay, the Israelite foreigners, man. So we come in all shades too, all different shades of brown. Some of us are really light skinned, you know. Some of us even resemble so-called white people, you know. But that's why you can't go off of appearance. You have to go off of the spirit. Okay. The so-called Mexicans are from the tribe of Issachar. Right, Issachar, or Yashakar, meaning he is higher. That's in the ancient Hebrew. Okay? The scriptures tell us that Issachar would be excellent farmers and strong workers, accompanied by the trusty burro which carries the bundles of a day's hard labor. Right, going into Yashakar, meaning he is higher, that fits them perfectly. Because every time you see a so-called Mexican, they're always on fire when it comes to their work, when it comes to their job. Okay, you'll never find, there ain't no lazy so-called Mexican. Okay, through the spirit, They are very hard workers, right? Just like through the Spirit, we know that when you look at Gad, right, meaning troop. When you read about the prophecy pertaining to the tribe of Gad, it says, "A troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last." And that's what we read about in this book, right? The Edomites came over to this land and they completely destroyed them. They enslaved them, they pillaged them, they raped them. It was a genocidal massacre, man. And they want to call it Thanksgiving. All right? You damn Edomites are going to pay for that. All right? Shalom, brother. Damawaki, GMS in his likeness. YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, BARAKATAH. Water for tuning in. All right? All right, going into how, hey, Issachar or Yashakar means he is higher. Gad, meaning troop, which are the so-called Mexicans and the so-called Native Americans, respectively. All right, the prophecy shows that this is exactly who they are. Okay? Hey man, these Edomites have a lot to pay for with all that they've done throughout history. Oh, here's a little map of all the different so-called indigenous, so-called Native American tribes. All right, Salaki, it might be hard to read it. But the Native American tribes were all over the place. And that Indian Removal Act by that Edomite Thomas Jefferson, that completely displaced them. That he wiped them out, he killed them, and then he pushed them all onto reservations. Okay? Even to this day, we see them on reservations, man. You know, all types of health problems, gambling at these casinos. Nothing, man. They're completely impoverished. You know, their women are disappearing at alarming rates. Not only in America, but in Canada as well. They're disappearing. Indigenous women are disappearing, getting human trafficked and kidnapped. And no one bats an eye. Hey, the so-called Mexicans, so-called Cubans, they're suffering. You know, they're trying to cross the border. They get detained by ICE. They get tortured in these damn detainment centers, these FEMA facilities, these detention camps, these concentration camps. We'll just call it what it is. These are concentration camps, and they're getting tortured, you know, being killed. And no one gives a shit, man. No one's batting an eye, man. These are the curses upon our people. All right, Salaki, let me get my charger. All right, now I have some more I want to read. All right, this is what these damn Edomites were doing. All right, Salakia, bear with me 1 second. Okay. So in this book, it says, as the Spaniards prepare to depart from this kingdom, okay, one of them told the son of a chieftain of a certain village to come with them. The boy said no. he did not want to leave his country. The Spaniard, the Edomite, responded, "Come with us, otherwise I will cut off your ears." The boy still said no, he did not want to leave his land, right? Because our people, we had, even down to the children, what you consider children, which really, once you hit puberty, hey man, you're like a grown man, man. You know, you're under the law, where you start getting held accountable. All right, that could be like 12, 13, from 12 to 16 years old, man. You're considered an adult, whether you like it or not, whether you want to accept that or not, whether you're comfortable with that or not. All right, so even down to us at that young age, hey man, we had integrity. Okay, that's what we are. Israel's a people of integrity, a people of faith in YAHAWASHI and YAHAWASHI. So when this damn Edomite came up to him and said, "Let's go," the boy was like, "Hell no, man, I'm not going nowhere with you. I'm not leaving my homeland." The Spaniard, the Edomite, unsheathed his dagger and cut off the boy's ears. First one, then the other. And when the boy said again he did not want to leave his land, the Spaniard cut off his nose, laughing as he did so. All right, so these are the types of things that they were, and just like, hey, because our people want to try to say there's Negro-only Israelites that say that all 12 tribes are so-called black. And that couldn't be any further from the truth. Okay? All right? Because you're not going to deny our Northern Kingdom brothers and sisters. All right? Hey, a lot of times, man, the Southern Kingdom be the most stiff-necked ones, man. And you can work with the Northern Kingdom Israelite. A lot of times more than even the Southern Kingdom. Okay? So just like they our babies to alligators, just like they did buck breaking to our men, to us, okay? They whipped our backs in, all right, beat our names out of us, like we read in the book. They did the same thing to our Northern Kingdom brothers and sisters, okay? This is another one. They would cut an Indian's hands and leave them dangling by a shred of skin, and they would test their swords and their manly strength on captured Indians and place bets on the slicing off of heads or the cutting of bodies in half with one blow. This is the sick, look. All right, this is Ezekiel. All right, this is Ezekiel 35 and 5. All right, speaking to you fucking Edomites, man. You sick-ass Edomites that forwarded the affliction. You niggas went overboard, man. You people are sick. Why do you think they proudly celebrate these holidays to this day with no shame? And now our people are into that too, following the ways of the heathen. Completely, hey man, that's why the scriptures say the whole head is sick. Okay? These people are sick, bro. Ezekiel 35 and 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Right? The scriptures tell you that heathen forwarded the affliction. So YAHAWASHI and YAHAWASHI is sore displeased. Okay? Verse 6. Therefore, as I live, saith YAHAWASHI and YAHAWASHI, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with the slain men. In thy hills and in thy valleys, and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. So YAHAWASHI and YAHAWASHI is indignant. Indignant, meaning he has a righteous wrath. He has a burning fury, a burning hatred for these damn devils that inflicted so much wickedness, so much hell on our people. Okay? And proudly celebrate it, and hypocritically tell you to get over it. but they're not going to get over nothing that happened to them. Okay, that happened to them, quote unquote. All right, y'all ain't been through shit compared to Israel. Okay, and still we go through it. Still they're getting kidnapped. Still they're getting murdered in the streets, and no one gives a damn. All right, back on this this passage. A cruel captain traveled over many leagues, capturing all the Indians he could find. Since the so-called Indians would not tell him who their new lord was, he would cut off the hands of some and threw others to the dogs. And thus they were torn to pieces. Okay? Man, this is the shit that these Edomites did. And you Edomites are going to pay. You Edomites are going to fucking pay for the shit that you did to our people, bro. Straight up and down, man. You people are going to pay. And you damn Jakes and you Eves, man. Even down to your children. You're going to pay for partaking in these wicked ass customs and these pagan rituals and Hellidays. You're going to pay for it. Because you want to follow the heathen. You want to envy your oppressor and get with their... I saw different accounts of Jake going to heathen Edomite grandmas and grandpas' houses to celebrate Thanksgiving. You want to partake in the ways of Babylon, you're going to go down with Babylon. Period. All right? Now this is from the book Literatura Maya, all right? Literatura Maya. It says, we, the main ones, this is our title, how our grandparents and parents arrived when they came at night in the dark. We are the grandchildren of our grandparents, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So these people, these indigenous peoples, these so-called Hispanics, Latinos, Native Americans, indigenous, so-called Indians, whatever. All right? You are Israelites of the northern kingdom. This is your heritage and your history. All right? You knew about the scriptures. You knew about the biblical feast days, the high holy days, and you were keeping them. All right? Not perfectly, but you knew about them and you were keeping them. As they were called, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are also those of Israel. Our grandparents and parents stayed in Canaan, in that land of God that our Lord granted to Abraham. We were also in Babylon, where all the men built a great house, a great building. The top of the building grew to the middle of the sky by work of all men. Okay? Then it also says, it is about the posterity of Adam following in all of the same order as in Genesis and sacred books, until the captivity of Babylon. It is assumed in the notebook that the three great Kish nations, of which it is particularly concerned, are descendants of the 10 tribes of the kingdom of Israel that Salmanasar reduced to perpetual captivity, and that being there in the confines of Assyria determined the emigration. In this version, attention has been paid as much as possible to the letter and order that the words have in the original. And didn't we read in 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, okay, verse 40? Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osea the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they to another land. Okay, so these indigenous peoples, these Hispanics, these so-called Native Americans, so-called Latinos, all of them, they knew exactly who they were. They knew that they were descendants of those tribes of Israel that came over to the land called Arsareth, which is so-called America. Okay, the Americas. All right, this whole region. All right, and then I'm going to read this. I think this is the last thing I got. Or no, I have some other stuff too. All right, I think this is olivercowdery.com. It says, if Sir William Penn had had an opportunity of beholding on what purple thrones the sovereigns of Peru and Mexico sat, he would perhaps have exulted less at the idea of the Jews having miraculously passed from the old continent to the new, either by the division of the waters of the Euphrates, as foretold by Esdras, or those of old ocean itself, the only remaining obstacle that could stop the march of the chosen people of the Most High God. We, for our own part, should be almost tempted at the bare mention of such a prodigy to declare ourselves of the faith of the Irishmen, who, on hearing a similar relation, gaily exclaimed, I believe it all but the first step. Okay, let me continue. All right, when you look upon them, you would think yourself in the Jews' quarters at London. Their eyes are little and black like the Jews. Moreover, they reckon by moons. They offer the first. This is talking about the indigenous peoples, all right, the so-called Latin tribes, okay, the Northern Kingdom. Again, these are historical annals that were documenting the history and customs of our people, okay, and they were like, oh, this must be the lost tribes of Israel, okay. So they reckon by the moon, right? That means that they use the moon to dictate the times, like we just mentioned. It's a new moon right now, okay? The Lord's been making people choose between the Sabbath and these damn pagan holidays. Majority of these people are celebrating Thanksgiving right now. Meanwhile, the elect, YAHAWADAH, we're part of that number. We're celebrating the new moon, and we're in the 7th day of the Feast of Dedication, okay? The Lord's not dealing with these damn pagan holidays. The Lord's dealing with His feast days, with His high holy days that His people are going to keep to the best of their ability, and we are. Okay? Hey, so they reckon by the moons, they offer the first fruits, and have a kind of Feast of Tabernacles. It is said that their altar stands upon 12 stones. Okay? That's also, I just read that in 1 Kings, when Elijah set up the 12 stones as a little altar unto YAHAWAH and YAHAWASHI. That's 12 stones, one for each of the tribes of Israel. Okay? That's us, man. That's us. Okay? You can't deny that that's us. Their altar stands upon 12 stones. Their mourning lasts a year. The customs of their women are like those of the Jews. Their language is masculine, short, concise, and full of energy. Is not the Paleo-Hebrew just like that? Okay? We don't have all these different confusing words, confusing spellings like they do in English, you know? It's short, concise, straight to the point. He said it's a masculine language. All right, that's the Paleo-Hebrew, in which it much resembles the Hebrew. Exactly, because they probably weren't speaking exact Paleo-Hebrew, but their language derived from the ancient Paleo-Hebrew. Okay? One word serves for 3, and the rest is supplied by the understanding of the listeners. Lastly, they were going into a country which was neither planted nor known, And he that imposed this condition upon them was well able to level their passage thither, for we may go from the eastern extremities of Asia to the western extremities of America. 2nd Ezra 13, once again, verse 40. Okay? Right. I brought that scripture out earlier. Right? Jeremiah 10 and 2. Thus saith YAHAWASHI YAHAWASHI, learn not the way of the heathen. And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Right? From the brother, the teacher Damawakia of GMS Orlando. GMS in his likeness is his page. All right? Y'all subscribe to the brother. Right? I also brought that out too. Amos 5 and 21. The Lord's not dealing with these damn bloody pagan Hellidays. Okay? Because it's rooted in paganism, it's rooted in idolatry, it's rooted in bloodshed, the bloodshed of our people. Okay? It must be confessed that the Indians closely resembled the Jews, the Israelites, because they are Israelites. All right, but this is the Edomite or whoever was doing the study on them, you know, compiling everything that he had found out. The second reason for believing that Judaism was the religion of the so-called Indians is that they used circumcision. The third, that they expected a Messiah, YAHAWASHI. Oh man, the picture for it is on my other phone, but Lord willing, I'm gonna set it as the thumbnail for this live stream, okay? Because they had an image depicting a man that was hung up and a spear stabbed him in his side, just like what happened to our Lord YAHAWASHI. Okay, you see that? The fourth, that many words incorporated in their language and connected with the celebration of their rites were obviously either of Hebrew or Greek derivation, right? So it was derived from Hebrew. And of course, you know, because, hey, we were in captivity under the Grecians, right? And that was a language that you know, those customs, all that conquered the world. That was Hellenization. Okay? The fifth, that Las Casas, the bishop of Chiapa, who had the best means of verifying the fact, was of this opinion. Okay? Sixth, that the Jews themselves, including some of their most eminent rabbis, such as Manasseh ben Israel and Montesenio, who though not a rabbi, was a Jew who had visited America, maintained it by both verbal statements and in writing. The seventh is the dilemma in which the most learned Spanish authors, such as Acosta and Torquemada, have placed their readers by leaving them no other alternative than to come to the decision whether the Jews had colonized America and established their rights among the Indian, or what. See, the similarities, the resemblance was so uncanny. They were like, damn, did Jews ever in history come to the Americas and colonize the indigenous peoples? Because why are they doing everything according to Israelite customs? You know? So it was either that, or the devil had counterfeited in the new world the rites and ceremonies which God gave his chosen people. And that's Esau's way of thinking, right? That's Esau's lies. Trying to say that the devil, they're basically saying that they are of the synagogue of Satan, that are trying to be Jews but are not. You know? No, that applies to you, Amalek. Okay? Revelation 2 and 9 and Revelation 3 and 9, that applies to Amalek. Them damn little hats, okay? That don't apply to our people. We are the real Hebrew Israelites. And ain't nothing you can do about it. The truth is going to keep coming out. Okay? The 8th is the resemblance which many of the Indian rites and ceremonies bore to those of the Jews. The 9th is the similitude which existed between many of the Indians and many of the Hebrew moral laws. The 10th is the knowledge which the Mexican and Peruvian traditions implied that the Indians possessed of the history contained in the Pentateuch. The 11th, the Mexican tradition of the Teomaxtl, or divine book of the Toltecas. The 12th is the Mexican history of their famous migration from Aztlan. The 13th is the traces of Jewish superstition, history, tradition, laws, manners, and customs which are found in the Mexican paintings, right? I have one of them. Lord willing, again, I'm going to remember to set that as a thumbnail. The 14th is the frequency of sacrifices amongst the Indians. I got a book from, I remembered through the Spirit, I got a book from the library. I'm going to have to read that book and see what other information I can find in there, because we can see like the, that's exactly, amen. Where I won't be able to articulate it, the scriptures, the Spirit will, all right? This is showing you, man. It's in your history. And a lot of our Northern Kingdom brothers and sisters, you so-called Native Americans, y'all love to try to say that, no, you're not Israelites. We're indigenous, you know? You think it just stops at America? No, man, it goes beyond that. You go beyond that. Your history goes beyond the Americas. Okay, you're Israelites, man. You were there during the time of King Solomon, King David, the Exodus. You were there, man. You didn't just start out in America. Likewise for the Southern Kingdom. You didn't just start off as slaves. You go beyond the transatlantic slave trade. It doesn't stop there. Your history is at the beginning of the world, man. We go all the way back to the source. And the source is these scriptures. YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. Alright, stop denying your true heritage. Stop denying who you really are. Your ancestors here on this side, in this region called America, were keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, the customs of ancient Israel, because they are Israelites of the Northern Kingdom. Those 10 tribes. Okay? All right, the 14th is the frequency of sacrifices amongst the Indians and the religious consecration of the blood and the fat of the victims. See? You know, and they were doing these weird sacrifices. They were going off. But the fact that they held the blood, because the scriptures tell you the life is in the blood. All right? You don't mess with the blood. You don't consume the blood. All right? They held that in a high regard. The blood and the fat. See, the fat too. You're not supposed to consume fat either. The 15th is the style of architecture of their paintings. The 16th is the fringes. That's something that the so-called Latin tribes, the indigenous, so-called Mexican, so-called all of them. All right, I say so-called with these because these are proverbs and bywords. You're really of the tribes of Israel, of the Northern Kingdom. Issachar, Asher, Reuben, Gad, Naphtali, Manasseh, all right, Zebulun, Ephraim, okay. Simeon, you know, I don't know if I said them all, but you're of those tribes of the the Northern Kingdom, right? They had, there's a lot of different pictures out there of our people wearing fringes, okay? And the thing to look out for is the fact that they had a border of blue, all right? It wasn't just fringes, they also had borders of blue on them, all right? That's not a coincidence. That's not something that everybody just did. That's what set us apart, because other nations wore fringes as well. You know, Esau likes to put fringes on his clothes sometimes to try to take our customs, but what set us apart is the fact that it had that ribbon, that border of blue on it, as it was commanded us in the scriptures. All right? Hey, Shalom, brother. MASHAYACH, RAWCHAA, YAHAWAH and His, BAHASHAM, QADASH, BARAKATAH. The water for tuning in. Okay? Hey, man, your video, brother, that video you did put me in the spirit, you know? Because our people really, they really don't care, man. They know the history. They know the origins of these wicked Hellidays. They know the origins of Thanksgiving, the genocide, man. I recommend, man. I recommend y'all read this, man. I'm gonna read some of what I read. You know, I'm gonna see if there's more on that. But hey, man, it's crazy. This is how white folks got so rich, and that's just a little bit of it. You know, that's focusing on the finances, but that shows you the history, the bloody history of these damn Edomites and what they did to garner the wealth and the land that they have to this day by theft, by rape, robbery, and murder. Okay? And our people really don't care, man. Our people are so damn wicked. They're just like the heathen. Like how the brother put up Jeremiah 10:2, Amos 5:21, following the ways of these damn devils, man. And you, all of y'all, even 2/3 of our people are gonna pay for the wickedness that they're doing. Okay? Here it is. This is a new moon right now. It's a Sabbath. Okay? You shouldn't be buying or selling. You shouldn't be working. But no, they want to go out. They want to buy turkeys and stuffing and cranberry sauce, which have all these different ritualistic, symbolic origins and meanings. And they want to continue to engage in these paganistic customs, in these wicked traditions of men. Okay? But these people are going to pay for that. All right? Whether they like it or not. This is the truth, and you shouldn't be partaking in that, and you've been warned. Okay, so the 16th is the fringes, which the Mexicans wore fastened in their garments. The 17th is a similarity in the manners and customs of so-called Indian tribes far removed from the central monarchies of Mexico and Peru, but still within the pale of religious proselytism to those of the Jews, which writers who were not Spaniards have noticed, such as Sir William Penn, who, recognizing a probably fanciful likeness between the features of Indian and Jewish children, says, oh, and then we read that, right? When you look upon them, you would think yourself in the Jews' quarters at London, right? So he saw them, and he thought that, he said that when you go among these so-called indigenous people, when you go among the northern kingdom of our people, you would think that you're among some Jews, you know, because the similarities were so strong, right? The customs, the traditions, the laws, the moral code, the feasts, the offerings, everything, the apparel, everything was so similar to, really, it's the Israelites, okay? So yeah, hey man, that's history. That shows you our so-called Latin tribes. They know back then they were keeping our laws, statutes, and commandments before they were colonized. Okay, before they were pillaged and destroyed and removed and displaced. Okay? Oh, and here's another account. Here's another book that says the same thing. The Mexicans are originally of the 10 tribes captured by Salmanassar and of the family of Issachar, whom the Indians recognize as their special ancestor. Okay? And then this says, the question why the Indians failed to observe Mosaic law as the Jews did everywhere else still remain, right? Really, it's going into our people going off, okay? Because they were Hellenized, we were scattered abroad. Really, when you read throughout the scriptures, our people always did go off. Our people sinned, They would forget YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. Well, we talk about that all the time. It's about holding yourself accountable and realizing that we need to bear this punishment, this captivity, because we sinned against YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI. But that doesn't excuse you heathens for what you did, okay? The Bible clearly indicated that the lost tribes were disposed to evil and idolatry, right? This disposition, no doubt, was strengthened by contact with such peoples as the Tartars and Mongols during the journey to Arsareth. So they're saying that they must have ran into heathens on the way to the Americas. And they were corrupted and probably intermingled along the way. Hey, so that, I don't know how true that is, but that could be possible, because our people did, it always was them engaging in idolatry after the heathens' gods, after the heathens' customs. So that could be indicator, that could be a factor or a catalyst in our people going off all the time, is because we would intermingle with the heathens. Okay? I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. Actually, the Indians did appear to keep certain parts of the law in certain areas. The Incas held a festival in March similar to the Passover. The Yucatan Indians practiced circumcision. Mexicans and Incas had eternal altar fires. Some Nicaraguans would not allow women who had recently given birth into the temples, right? Because when you go into the law, I believe that's Leviticus 12. Let me see if I can get that real quick. Right, Leviticus 12. Speaking to the children of Yasharallah, Leviticus 12 verse 2, speaking to the children of Yasharallah, saying, if a woman have conceived seed and born a man-child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. According to the days of the separation of her infirmity shall she be unclean. And that's a law. So they didn't allow the women who had recently given birth into the temple because she's unclean. That's going back into the law. So the Northern Kingdom kept that law. Other parts of the law observed at various places, including those which said that men should not sleep with women who had recently given birth. If a master slept with a slave, both were whipped, adulteresses were to be stoned, right? Adulteresses were to be stoned, meaning if a woman trespasses against her husband and sleeps with a man other than her husband, okay? In modern day times, we call it cheating. Then the woman was to be stoned. The adulterer and the adulteress. Whoever slept with that wife and the wife that slept with someone other than her husband. Okay, they would both get stoned, right? That's pursuing to the law too. Men and women must not wear each other's clothes. Doesn't the scripture say that a woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man? All right, and a man may not wear a woman's garment, vice versa, same thing. A man shouldn't be wearing dresses and skirts and stuff that women wear, and women shouldn't be wearing, pants, war apparel. When you go into the history of that, I don't remember, it was a while ago. I don't want to bring out any false information, but that would make sense because it's the men that went to war, not women, So basically, you don't cross-dress, which Babylon celebrates with the drag stuff. They do drag in front of children. They say bring your children to the libraries to do little drag readings and talk about the gay BCs and things like that. That's Babylon, man. So that tells you that the indigenous peoples, the Latin tribes, were keeping the laws. And a widow must marry her nearest male relative. The Decalogue was not kept very well in the Indies, but one could find parts of it observed in various places. The Indians did retain a few Hebrew words such as Yucatan, Mexico, and Peru. Okay? So that's going into the language too. They had similar languages because really different indigenous languages were derived from Hebrew. And if you actually look at the writings and listen to them speaking, you'll hear the similarities. I remember an indigenous song called YAHAWAH, and then there was another indigenous male that was singing Salak Nawa Ahaya BAHASHAM Yashaya. So he's using the wrong names, but he was saying Salak Nawa, meaning forgive us. Really it's Yahawah. BAHASHAM, meaning in the name, and then really it's YAHAWASHI. So he was saying Salak Nawa, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. See? So they were speaking Hebrew, ancient Hebrew. Not that Yiddish, not that modern stuff, but actual Paleo-Hebrew. Okay? So those are some historical accounts, man. And I believe I got some more that I can bring out. All right? And guess what? It'll be saying the same thing. That our Northern Kingdom brethren are of the so-called Latin tribes. The so-called Latinos, Hispanics, so-called Indians, so-called indigenous, whatever they're, these different proverbs and bywords. Ultimately, you are of the tribes of Israel, the Northern Kingdom of Yasharallah. Okay? All right, your history goes beyond slavery, okay, beyond South America, okay, beyond the Americas, beyond Arsareth. All right, you are of the tribes of Israel. And then I wanted to bring a little bit more on this out, okay? or we read a little bit about the Dawes Act. Henry L. Dawes, he drafted federal legislation enacted in 1887 that ordered the registering of Indians so that they could receive an allotment of their own land. So here it is, Esau over here, he stole the land, and now he's saying that now you indigenous peoples, you got to register with our program, and we'll give you certain portions of your own land that you've already been living on. Okay? This is the damn devil. He came and he just pillaged and stole the land, claiming it as his own. Your shit is crazy, man. That's the pride of this damn devil. But to get on the Dawes rolls, to get into this program, so-called Native Americans had to change their names to make them English sounding. Okay? This allowed Edomite officials to slip the names of their relatives and friends onto the Dawes rolls and illegally reap for themselves millions of acres of land. So they made the program and they said, you have to change your name to sound more English. And what they did, they were like, well, now I'm gonna get my relatives to get into the program. Okay, because you wouldn't be able to tell who's who because we all got the same sounding name. He done colonized them through this program. Okay, that's just one way that this damn devil, through unrighteous decrees, colonizes and destroys people. Okay? In one state alone, the 138 million acres of Indian-held land at the time of the Dawes Act in 1887 had been reduced to 47 million acres by 1934, when the act was repealed. Okay? So by the time that they repealed the act, they already took millions of acres of indigenous people's land through their unrighteous decree. Okay? Ultimately, the so-called Indian Holocaust netted for the so-called white man 2.3 billion acres of free land. Land that has a government estimated value of $23 trillion. So this damn devil made wealth for himself through stealing our people's land. Hey, look at this. This is a rabbi that said this. Rabbi Isaac Mayer Wise, the most prominent rabbi in American history. This is a quote. He said, though not total savages, they are very primitive and ignorant in regards to our Northern Kingdom brethren. They do nothing besides loafing and begging and say, me work no. In conversation with several of them, I found that they have no particular home and are heathens. This shit is crazy, man. The pride of this damn devil. Here it is. This is the damn, what do they say? The pot calling the kettle black, except we're not a kettle, man. That don't even apply to us. Here it is. You stole their identity, and you have the nerve to say that they're heathens, when they're really the children of YAHAWASHI. Because you colonized them. You raped them out of their minds. You killed them and beat their heritage and customs out of them completely, that they have to rely on you. Okay? You took their land, you displaced them, you destroyed everything, you gave them smallpox blankets, all these diseases. Okay? You completely destroyed them, and then you're going to talk down on them? Once the Europeans discovered the New World and the Indians were violently subdued, forcibly removed, and outright murdered, a system had to be set up to induce Edomite individuals to populate and work on the new land. And the fact is, Edomite immigration to America had nothing to do with seeking religious liberty. First, the Dutch and then the English established the headright system, which gave large tracts of land head rights to anyone willing to cross the Atlantic Ocean and help settle the colonies. Okay? So they even lie about the reason they came here. You came here for no other reason but to murder, rape, and steal. Period. Okay? This damn devil likes to paint himself in a the reason why he calls himself white is literally because it's associated with purity and gentleness and righteousness. But he's literally the exact opposite. He is the wicked. He's the devil. And this goes into why he's called the devil, because devil means deceiver. And he has done nothing but deceive the whole world. Okay? This is the reality of your goddamn holiday, Thanksgiving. Okay? Genocide, murder, rape, theft, colonization, bloodshed. That's the reality of Thanksgiving. And there's no type of, oh, this is just for the family. This is just for us to get together and eat food. No, you're partaking in that evil. And you're showing that you don't give a shit about your Northern Kingdom brethren. And you Northern Kingdom Israelites that partake in that, you couldn't be any dumber. You couldn't be any dumber, any more wicked to partake in the same holiday that celebrates your death, your demise. And I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop reading them because it's just gonna make me fucking mad. All right, so that's the reality of this bitch-ass holiday, Thanksgiving, man. Nothing, there's no family, there's no beautiful message behind it. There's nothing thankful about it, okay? To hell with these goddamn holidays. Anybody celebrating this, punishment's gonna come upon you even more because today's a new moon. Again, this is a Sabbath. So those of you that chose to partake in the wickedness, instead of following YAHAWASHI's Sabbath, his new moon, one, for you partaking in the wicked pagan holiday of Thanksgiving, and two, for profaning the Sabbath. Okay? YAHAWASHI is going to bring sore judgment and death and bloodshed upon you damn people. Alright, the brother brought out, Brother Demawati Jimas in his likeness brought out Isaiah 32:5. The vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. Right, they want to say that it's liberals and Republicans, right? Democrats and Republicans. Liberals and conservatives. There's nothing liberal about you. Okay? Really, you're two horns on the same beast. It's nothing but deception. We're not to trust any of you. We're not to vote. Okay, that's against the laws. You're not supposed to vote for none of these damn heathens. Okay? You're not supposed to support these wicked heathen customs. Okay? Any of that. You're not supposed to partake in any of that. You're not supposed to follow the heathen. Okay? You're not supposed to trust in the ways of your oppressor. And you people, you damn Edomites getting exposed, that's you. Really, you're the wicked. You're the churl. You're not going to be called liberal no more. You're not going to be called white no more. You're known for what you really are, which is the Edomite. You're not white, you're red. Your blood shows forth through your skin. Isaiah 32:6. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against YAHAWASHI, and to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. Okay? So Esau's being exposed now, even more and more in these latter days. We're seeing him for who he really is. He's an evil, wicked demon. Okay? And YAHAWASHI is going to bring destruction upon him. Okay, he's not going to hide himself behind whitewashing of history. Okay, behind being a so-called white man. Okay, behind love is love, behind democracy, which is a lie anyway. Okay, Babylon is exposed for what it really is. Continuing in Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 17. Also, I set watchmen over you, saying, hearken to the sound of the trumpet. But they said, we will not hearken. For you damn Jakes, man. For you Jakes and Eves that don't want to hearken to the truth. Therefore, hear ye nations, and know, O congregation, what is among them. Hear, O earth, behold, I will bring evil upon this people, even the fruit of their thoughts, because they have not hearkened unto my words, nor to my law, but rejected it. Okay? And that's exactly what our people did. They rejected the word of the Lord. They rejected the prophets. They rejected the warnings. They rejected the admonitions. Okay? They rejected the rebuke. And they chose to follow these damn devils. So YAHAWASHI is saying, hey, well, and he did exactly what he promised to do. He punished us for our iniquity. Okay? He brought judgment upon us. He brought this evil upon us. The fact that the basis of men is ruling over us right now is a complete shame. Okay? To us belongeth confusion of face. Because we have the basis of men ruling us. That's horrible, man. That's horrible. You know? And Shalom, Akwath, sister. All right, YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI, BARAKATAH, the water for tuning in. All right, and I think I'm going to go ahead and close it out on this. All right, Psalms chapter 83, verse 12, who said, basically, you heathens, all right, you said, let us take to ourselves the houses of YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI in possession, right? Going into those that took crafty counsel. If you read up at verse 3, right? The enemies that made a tumult, all right, that took crafty counsel against YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI's hidden ones, which his hidden ones are the Israelites, okay? His peculiar, his special, chosen people, all right? Hey, judgment's going to come upon you for that. For the affliction that you forwarded on us. All right. Verse 13. O my power, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind. As the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou whose name alone is Yahawah art the most high over all the earth. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close it out right there. I pray the lesson was edifying, exhorting, and uplifting through the spirit and power of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. The water YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, QADASH bestowed upon me to bring out this lesson and push forth this word. Keep pushing, keep praying, keep fasting, keep enduring, keep striving for the truth unto death, and YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI shall fight for thee, and keep abiding in the faith. DTA Abad Babal. Kwam Yasharala, stay strong, we're almost home. Shalom, wa barakyam, lahabakayar, peace and blessings unto the elect. Yahweh Rekazah, Yahweh willing, we're a part of that number. And blessings, honor, glory, and power be unto Yahawah wa YAHAWASHI. The water for tuning in, the water for your precepts. May the blessing of election be upon all your houses. All right, ahabatam. I love y'all. All right, peace and blessings once again. And I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI BAHASHAM RAKAH QADASH. Shalom.